Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy Thursday if you are watching this the day that this goes live. Today I thought it'd be really fun to do a Throwback Thursday. I used to be obsessed with doing Throwback Thursday pictures on Instagram back when I was in college, and I know Throwback Thursday's been like a thing here and then not a thing. I don't know if people do Throwback Thursday videos anymore, but we're gonna do one today. So really I just picked a lot of items in my collection, not even necessarily that I used to love back in the day, but just items that I've owned for a really long time, and I'll give you kind of a backstory if there's a story on like when I remember purchasing it and things like that. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to say. It's super early in the morning and I feel like I'm looking extra tired today. Like I feel like we're just looking pretty tired today. So anyway, if you guys are interested in seeing the items that we're throwing it back to today and seeing me use them on my face to create a full look, then just keep watching. All right, so I have gone in and moisturized, done my morning skincare routine. If you guys would be interested in a morning skincare routine video, let me know. I never know. But for primer, I grabbed the Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer, the pore minimizing one. I think this was like my first or second purchase for primers, and at the time like I was really just getting into YouTube and really knew nothing about makeup, like products for specific skin types. I knew at that time I had dry skin, but I didn't really understand or know that like typically, like I just thought pore minimizing meant that like you were gonna look like you had smoother skin, and I didn't necessarily know that pore minimizing primers weren't always ideal for people with dry skin. So this is still about half full. I probably have this for over 2 years now. Oh, it has a 24-month shelf life though, so that's good. But I've had this for a long time and I have not reached for this in such a long time. I mentioned this in, I can't remember what video. I think it was items I'm oh my gosh, I can't speak. Items I'm considering decluttering. I mentioned the Benefit POREfessional, I think it was, which is also a pore minimizing primer. And that was like, I had this one and that one back in the day. I think it was last year that I came across the First Aid Beauty Coconut Skin Smoothing Primer, which is a hydrating one. I fell in love. But I'm just gonna, normally I wouldn't take this all over my face. I've actually been using the Benefit POREfessional one on my forehead to try and like smooth out my forehead lines a little bit better. But then I would take the hydrating one, like especially like around my nose, even though I have hella pores to minimize there. But I just get so dry around my nose. But we're just gonna take this around the whole face today. Okay, so that definitely does a really nice job of minimizing my pores, but it just clings to dry patches, which is scary. Okay, so for foundation today, I'm going in with the Stila Sheer Color Tinted Moisturizer. I don't even know if you can still get this. I have mine in the shade Light. This was one of like maybe 2 or 3 foundations I had, again, when I was just first getting into makeup and before I had tried a ton of different foundations, and I actually thought that I really liked this. But for a Sheer Color Tinted Moisturizer, I feel like this is a super thick sort of consistency. So not only has it been a really long time since I've used this, but I just don't think I like it anymore. So maybe we'll see if I just need to declutter it. I am just going in with this Tarte brush. I don't even know if this has a name. I've had this brush for a really long time. And let me tell you, I need to clean my brushes today. It's definitely more sheer than I actually remember it. Maybe it's a good thing I pulled this out. Do you guys ever do that where you think you don't like a product anymore, so you just like let it sit, and then finally you're like, maybe I'm gonna give this one more try, and then you try it and you actually love it, and then you think to yourself, oh, I wasted so much time not using that product because I was just letting it sit in my collection. Okay. Okay, so I feel like that applied super streaky with my brush, and I don't know if it's because I need to clean my brush or what the deal is, but I'm going to take just a little bit more on a beauty blender and try and get just a little bit more coverage, and then obviously make it so it's not streaky. Okay, so I'm actually really enjoying this so far. I forgot that it does actually give like a nice light coverage, which I've actually been looking for a better like light coverage foundation for work. But this could definitely work for that. It definitely doesn't feel as heavy on my skin as I remember it. And the only thing I'll say is I would rather pair this with a hydrating primer because I do feel like it might be clinging to some of my dry patches, but I feel like part of that is because the primer is clinging to the dry patches, and now that tinted cream is as well. For concealer today, I pulled out my Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer. Now, I bought this when this first came out and everyone was like raving about this in the foundation. I don't even know if I've tried this. I truly don't remember if I've tried this. I think I've tried it 1 or 2 times, but I don't know for sure. I have mine in the shade Light Ivory. And even if I have used it, it has been probably a solid year and a half. And I literally don't remember like how I feel about it. Obviously, if I don't even remember if I've used it. Okay, this one looks like it might dry down quickly. So I'm going to do one eye at a time. Okay, I like the coverage that it gives and I like this color, but it does feel a little bit sticky even after blending it out. And you guys will have to comment below and let me know if like you've tried this and if yours is sticky. Maybe I just need to go purchase a new one if I feel like I'm gonna like this, because maybe mine's just old. And I'm just gonna do a little bit on my forehead, a little bit on my chin, and I'm just gonna spot conceal like 3 spots. Okay, so far so good. I actually really like that pairing together just because the Wet n Wild concealer isn't like so full coverage, but it still gives good coverage, and I feel like it pairs really nicely with that tinted moisturizer. I am going to set my under eyes with the RCMA No Color Powder just to really throw it back. I was so excited when I found this powder because the Laura Mercier powder just like did not work for me back in the day, and everyone raved about it and raved about it and raved about it, and I was like, there must be something wrong with me because this just makes me look so cakey. And then when everyone started bringing up the RCMA powder, I was just super excited to find a powder that I did feel like worked better for me. Now, I don't bake with this, but I just use a damp beauty blender and use it to set my under eyes. Sometimes I'll sweep this all over my face. Usually I go in, or lately I've been going in with a pressed powder. But it has been a minute since I've used this powder, and I forget it is truly just and I forget it is truly just so finely milled. It doesn't look heavy at all underneath the eyes. It doesn't look crepey. It really does look really good. So I'm not going to go in with contour today, even though I feel like I used to do that a ton back in the day. I can't even remember what products I would use to contour. I just knew nothing about it, and probably would use like a really warm colored bronzer to do it. But I am going to bronze today using this Marc Jacobs bronzer. This is in Tantric, and I purchased this when I could not get my hands on the Tantastic bronzer when that first launched. I do now have the Tantastic bronzer, which pretty much has replaced this one, just because I do like the undertones and stuff of the Tantastic bronzer just a little bit better. I probably could declutter this, but it's Marc Jacobs and it's super luxurious, and I just can't get myself to declutter it. But we're gonna be using this today. I used to use this all the time. I don't know if you'll be able to see. It doesn't look like you're going to be able to, but like a bunch of the like lines are worn away. Like I used to wear this so much. Okay, and this is why I like to do things like we're doing today, because as you can tell, this is probably way too warm and way too dark for me. For some reason, I feel like my hairline looks super weird right now, like on the monitor, but I'm not getting that in real life. You guys probably are like, girl, you're crazy. But this is super, it's just too dark for me, I feel like. Maybe I'll edit and I'll think differently, but yeah, I just feel like this isn't the right color for me. So that's why we do these things, because back in the day I probably thought this looked great on me, and now I realize, now that I've experimented more with makeup, that it's not looking the best, and maybe I will actually declutter. For blush, I'm going to be going in with my tried and true Becca Flower Child blush. I do really enjoy the Becca blush formula, but it is so pigmented that it's just so easy to go heavy-handed with. So sometimes I find myself not reaching for it just because it's just a little trickier to work with. But still a beautiful formula, and Flower Child is such a staple color. And Flower Child is just such a staple color. Okay, now I'm remembering why that used to be like one of my all-time favorite blushes. Just such a pretty color. Really love that blush. Probably would never get rid of it, and would have to repurchase it if it goes bad or like shatters or anything like that. Yeah, so you guys, if you can hear stuff going on outside, there's like construction going on right outside of our house, and it is in the dead of winter here in Minnesota. I don't understand what's going on, but I do apologize. Okay, so we're gonna jump in the eyes, and I'm gonna be going in with the Sweet Peach palette. This is kind of what inspired this video. I was laying in bed the other night, and I have these two shelves that have most of my palettes on it, and I was just looking at the Sweet Peach palette and remembering how much use I used to get out of this palette, how much I used to love this palette, how excited I was to pick this palette up. This may be the palette that like I remember feeling the most excited when I purchased this, and it still smells like peaches, which I personally don't mind. I just really wanted to play with this because it's been too long. This used to be like my palette. So we're gonna play with this one today. I'm not gonna do anything too fancy. We're just gonna start. As you can tell, I've even hit pan in some of the shades in here. I'm actually gonna start with this light pink shade down here. It's called Georgia, and we're just going to blow that out in the crease. I am no blending wizard. That's one of my goals this year, is just to get better at like blending and creating eye looks with my makeup. But if you guys are new to any sort of like get ready with me or video like this where I'm doing eye makeup, just warning you in advance. Next, I'm going to take this shade Puree and blow that one out in the crease as well. Puree used to be like my favorite medium warm toned brown ever. Next, I'm going to take Summer Yum and just deepen the outer kind of V out just a little bit more. This used to be like my go-to, except for I would usually use Peaches and Cream, Puree, Summer Yum, and then sometimes deepen it up even more with Charmed, I'm Sure. But like every day, that's what I would do. Every single day. Okay, and then to really just mimic what I used to do, I'm going to go in with Luscious right here, which is such a beautiful shimmer shade. Love this shade, and look at that. That's like without wetting my brush or anything. Okay guys, I'm gonna put this away for a second and grab my eyeliner. I'm gonna be going in with my Inglot gel liner in the shade 94, which is just this champagne shade. I think I bought this off of Stephanie Nicole's recommendation. She was just saying how Inglot gel liner stays in your waterline through literally anything. So I purchased this, and I do really enjoy this shade. I also have their black one, but I just rarely wear black liner. Normally with this look, I would go in with a brown liner, but I thought I would switch it up today and pull this out because it's been a while since I've used. Okay, 1 second. Since it's been a while since I've used this liner, and since I'm feeling a little bit more tired today, I figured using a shade like this would help make my eyes look more awake. Okay, so I went and filled my eyebrows in off camera as well after I did my eyeliner, and then I'm just gonna pop back into the Sweet Peach palette. I'm gonna grab this Puree shade I'm gonna grab Charmed, I'm sure, which is this dark brown shade up here, and I'm gonna press that in probably about halfway. And then I'm going to go in with a mixture of Summer Yum and Puree and smoke out the lower lash line. Okay, so that is what the eyes look like. I'm going to quickly pop on mascara and then we will do highlight and end this video. Alright guys, so then for highlight, I'm going to go into my ABH Aurora palette. I shockingly used to love this palette. I kind of just bought this to buy it to add to my collection in the beginning, not expecting to really like a lot of these, just because obviously you have very colorful highlights in here. But I found that Eclipse as well as Luna are just really beautiful peachy pink sort of highlights, and then Luna as well has like a bit of a pink shift to it, but it's basically just like an icy pink highlight. So I really like all of these. Well, especially all three of those. You can kind of pull them off as more neutral. So today I'm going to go in with Eclipse. I could definitely see why not. This wouldn't be like the highlight for everyone, but I do actually really enjoy the Aurora palette. It definitely does also have just like a little bit of glitter too, so I don't even know if you can get the Aurora anymore. I'm pretty sure you can, but I know it's like always at TJ Maxx, so I feel like I thought it was getting discontinued at least. But if you can get this one at a discount, I would recommend. And then finally guys, for a throwback lip product, I went with one of my first high-end lip products, which is the Buxom Gloss in the shade Dolly. And I actually lost this gloss for a long time. I brought this on vacation like 2 years ago, me and my husband, when we went to the Dominican, and I couldn't find it, and I found this a couple weeks ago and I was so stinking excited about it. So I actually do really like this gloss, plus it had like a little bit of like nostalgia tied to it. I'm using my viewfinder as a mirror. And there we go. That is going to complete my Throwback Thursday makeup look. I think of all products, I actually am really impressed with the tinted moisturizer as well as the Wet n Wild concealer. I'm going to continue to kind of use those and decide whether or not I want to keep them. But as far as I'm feeling right now, I kind of do. Be careful. I do want to keep both of them. Now the bronzer, I actually feel like I'm ready to declutter after today. I don't know what's going on with my hairline, but that's out of control. And then I just feel like it's too warm and a little bit too dark for me. As in like a shade that's too dark but also too warm. If that makes sense. It probably doesn't. But I hope you guys enjoyed this Throwback Thursday video. Let me know if there's any makeup products that you've recently rediscovered in your collection and are loving. Other than that, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, don't forget to do so before you go. And I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye.